Good morning, everybody. Welcome to City Hall, welcome to Council Chambers, and welcome to the meeting of the Los Angeles City Council for today, Tuesday, August 6, 2002. The City Council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Meetings are open to the public, and we do invite you to join us and participate in our proceedings. If you're unable to join us, City Council can also be viewed live from home on your cable station, Channel 35. We can be viewed live via webcast from the city's homepage or heard via council phone. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Burnson, Galanter, Garcetti, Gruel, Hahn, Holden, Labange, Miskowski, Pacheco, Perry, Reyes, Ridley, Thomas, Weisstein, Padilla, 11 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Members of the council, members of the public, I know there will be several requests to adjourn in memory of one of Los Angeles' true treasures, Chick Hearn. We will do that at the end of the meeting, as we customarily do, but did want to make a brief announcement that as Los Angeles has a heavy heart this morning after the loss of Chick Hearn, we spoke with the mayor prior to council today, and he has ordered that flags be flown at half-mast today in the city of Los Angeles in honor of the great one. So wanted to make that brief announcement this morning and continue. This being the first council meeting of the week, we do have birthday flag salute and a moment of inspiration scheduled. I'd like to acknowledge the council member of the 9th District, Ms. Jan Perry.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Gracias, señor
This morning I have a very special individual. His name is Reverend Melvin V. Wade, Sr. He is a senior pastor from Mount Moriah Baptist Church of Los Angeles. With him today is Quayford Coleman. He is the administrator of Mount Moriah Baptist Church. Before we begin with Pastor Wade's comments, I'm going to ask Mr. Coleman to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning. Thank you, Councilwoman Jan Perry. With respect to the President of the Council and the entire Council, please let us put our right hand over our heart. And would you please begin the Pledge of Allegiance of the United States. Let's begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Council members, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Pastor Melvin Wade.
Thank you, Councilperson Jan Perry, to President Padilla, to all of the council persons.
Y a todos los miembros del concilio.
It is my honor and joy to stand to give the opening invitation today.
La apertura del día de hoy. En un libro clásico alegórico de progreso, el profeta nombró que un cristiano tenía un amigo cuyo nombre murió en un pueblo que se llamaba Purity. Después de escapar de un lugar que se llamaba Vanidad, el profeta llega a un lugar, se van desde el lugar Vanidad a una ciudad celestial. Cuando llegan a la ciudad celestial, se juntan con un gigante que se llama Desesperación, quien convenció en entrar en este castillo y los echa en un dungeon apestoso.
To be Christian and hopeful without mercy. After beating them before throwing them back into the dungeon, Despair told Christian and hopeful that life holds nothing but bitterness. He tells them that he would give them three choices for their death: a knife, a rope, or poison. However, all of a sudden, the giant despair was seized by it, brought on by sunshine. When that happened, the giant throws them back into the dungeon, but the next day he carried them into his castle yard and showed them the bones and skulls of his victims. Luego les
The
enseña
giant despair told them that these were the bones of pilgrims who had
dice que estos eran los
trespassed
huesos de
on his
los
grounds.
pilgrims
He then
quienes
promised to tear them apart
cruzaron
in
por
10
sus tierras y
days.
promete hacerlos
From that
pedazos
day,
en
which
10
was
días.
Wednesday
De ese
until
día en adelante,
midnight
que fue
Saturday night,
miércoles
Christian and
de
hopeful
medianoche
ate not one
a
crumb of
miércoles de
bread nor
medianoche, ni
drank
los
a drop of
cristianos
water.
tomaron
At
ni
midnight
una gota
Saturday
de agua
night, they
ni una miga
began
de
to
pan.
pray.
A la
They prayed
medianoche del
until
sábado
just
empezaron a
before
rezar, rezaron
daybreak.
hasta
As the
poquito
day
antes
was
del
about to
amanecer.
break, Christian
Cuando
said
empezó
to
a
Hopeful, "What a fool
amanecer,
I've been,
el cristiano dijo, qué
lying
tonto
in
he
this
sido
stinking dungeon.
estar metido
I
en
have
este
a
hoyo
key in
apestoso.
my bosom
Yo
that will
tengo la
open
llave
any
en mi
lock,
pecho que puede
and
abrir
that key is called
la llave
promise." As
y
leaders
es
of
una
our city,
promesa.
like Christian and Hopeful,
Como
you're going to
líderes
have to
de
deal
nuestra
with the
ciudad,
hill of difficulty. It is
No.
an axiom that you've got to
Es un
deal
axioma
and
que
encounter
tenemos
with
que-
a plethora, a cornucopia of
es como una
giants that will seek
cornucopia
to
de
cudgel
gigantes que
you
van a
into the
tratar en
dungeons of despair.
convencerlos en que se
But
metan
remember,
a los pozos
the
de la
God
desesperación, pero
of the
recuerden
God
que
of the Bible has
el
a
hombre,
key
el Dios de la
that he
Biblia
puts
tiene
in the
la
bosom of
llave
everyone
que le
who
pone
believes in
a
him.
todos en el
And that
pecho de
key is
aquellos que creen en
called
él, y esa
promise.
llave
And
es una
God's Son,
promesa.
Jesus
Y
Christ,
el Hijo de
gave the
Dios,
classic
Jesucristo,
promise in
dio la
Hebrews
promesa
13 and
clásica en
5.
Hebreos
It is
13 y
what is
5,
called
es
a
lo que le llaman
palindrome promise.
un
That is, you can read it
programa que
backward
puedes
or forward,
leerlo
and it comes out meaning
al
the
derecho
same.
o al revés,
It is the
y
same as the
el
word
significado es el
level.
mismo.
If you spell level
Es
forward,
igual.
it spells level.
Es
If
lo
you
mismo
spell
que la
level
palabra
backwards,
al
it
revés,
spells level.
level, nivel.
And the promise
Si lo
that
deletreas
Jesus
derecho
makes
o
to
al
each of
revés, es
us
igual.
who believes in the God of the Bible,
Que
you
crees
can
en
read
el
it
Dios de la
forward
Biblia, lo
or
puedes
backward, and it
leer
comes out
al
meaning the
derecho o al
same.
revés,
For
y
forward it
quiere
says,
decir
I will
exactamente
never
lo mismo,
leave
que
thee
dice,
nor
Padre, nunca
forsake
voy
thee.
a dejarte
Backwards it reads,
ni
thee
a
forsake nor thee leave, never
rechazarte.
will I. The classic hymn reads
Para él lo
and
clásico
makes
era
clear that promise that Jesus makes,
que
for
la
it says, I've
promesa
seen the
está
lightning
clara,
flashing,
y he visto
and
la
I've heard the
luz,
thunder roll, I felt sin breakers
y he
dashing,
oído
trying to conquer my soul. But I heard the
tratando de
voice of
conquistar
Jesus
mi
telling me still, fight on. He promised never to leave me, never
alma,
to
pero
leave me
Dios me ha
alone. And
prometido
this
nunca dejarme,
promise
y esta
will
promesa
open
siempre
any door
va a
that
abrir cualquier
despair
puerta
tries to lock you in.
que la desesperación trate de echarles llave.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Councilmember Perry. Madam Clerk, first order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
Ms. Gruhl moves and Ms.
Aprobando los
Misikowski
minutos.
seconds.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Ms. Perry moves and Ms. Hahn seconds.
On the regular agenda, Mr. President, item number 1 is confirmation of a city official, is confirmation of Mr.
confirmación
Eric Holman
del
to the
oficial
Board
de la
of
ciudad.
Commissioners of the LA City Employees
llama los
Retirement System.
If you can come forward at
del-
this time. This is item 19
Este es el
on our
número
agenda,
19
members.
en la agenda.
Do not have requests from members of the public to be heard.
Queremos que el público se le
Commission
escuche
nominee, the
en
appointment of this
la
nominee.
comisión de
Please
este
have a seat.
punto.
We have some questions for you.
Siéntese, tenemos unas preguntas para usted.
So we shall deem the public hearings open and closed. Are
Van
there
a
any
haber
members wishing to be
unas
heard at this time?
audiencias
Questions or comments about the
abiertas
nomination
y
before us?
cerradas.
Seeing none. Madam Clerk, would you please open the roll? Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Congratulations, you're approved.
Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you for serving the city.
11 personas lo aprobaron. Felicitaciones, es aprobado.
Next item, please.
On the regular agenda,
Próxima
items noticed for
persona en la
public
agenda
hearing.
regular.
Item number 1 is a hearing and ordinance,
Hay una
and it's
audiencia de
regarding
una
the
ordenanza
Chatsworth
contra el
BID,
departamento
regarding
del
levying
departamento
assessment.
Okay, we do
BID
have part of
para
item number 1, let's call
asesamiento.
that special.
Item number 2 is
El
also a public
número
hearing
2 es
item that
también
has
una
an ordinance attached. I believe
audiencia.
12 council members will be present. Do you
Creo
wish to
que
hold that on the
hay
desk?
12
let's hold that on the
personas del concilio presentes. ¿Quiere
Item number
detener
3
eso? Sí,
is also a public
detengámonoslo.
hearing item number. It's a continued hearing, and it's regarding confirmation of
También
assessment of building and
La
safety assessments.
confirmación de
Okay, do
el
not have
building
cards in
and
item number
safety
3, so we
assessments.
shall deem the public hearing satisfied. Members wishing to be heard on
Miembros
item number 3.
desean ser escuchados en el artículo
Seeing none,
número
Madam
3.
Clerk. please open the roll.
designó el
Please
clerk
close the roll
que
and tabulate
abra
the
el
vote.
roll
11
y
ayes.
Item number 3 is approved.
sume el voto.
Next item, please.
El artículo
Items for
número
which public
3
hearings
es
have been held,
aprobado.
items 4 through 18.
El artículo
Items
3
4
a
and 5 are
14.
ordinances. Do you wish to hold
El
those on the
4 y
desk?
el 5
Let's
son
hold all
ordenanzas.
ordinances on the
Desea
desk today.
tenerlo en el
As there were
escritorio.
12 members, that leaves items 6 through 18.
Detengamos por lo menos
Public
del
hearings
6 al
haven't been held
18
in
las audiencias
committees. A motion
públicas
from the floor
no se han
would be
escuchado en
required to reopen the
comités. Un
public
pedimento
hearings.
del piso va a ser necesario
Seeing
para
no
ser
such motion,
escuchado.
are there any
Como no
members
veo
wishing to call
ningún
any specials?
pedimento, ¿algún miembro quiere pedir algo especial?
Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please
No
open the
veo
roll.
nada.
Please close
Señorita
the roll
actuaria,
and tabulate the vote.
habla el
11
roll
ayes.
y tabule
Those are
el.
approved.
Esos son
Next item,
aprobados.
please.
Next item, Mr.
Próximo
President,
artículo.
items 19 through
Próximo
44
artículo
are
número
items for which public hearings have
19
not been
al
held.
44 son cosas en
19
las
through
cuales
44
no
now
han
before us. I do
habido
not have
audiencias
requests members of the public
públicas.
to address the council on these
No hay
items.
ningún miembro del
So we
público
shall
que
deem the public
quiere.
hearing satisfied.
Vamos a
Items 21 through 26 are ordinances. We'll hold those on the
las
desk as we await
ordenanzas, lo
12
vamos a
members.
And Mr. President,
con
item
nuestros
number
miembros.
20 is an
Señor
award of
Presidente,
sale, and the CAO's office just brought the winning bidder in. The winning bidder for the general
persona que
obligation
ganó la
bond
subasta
series 2002A is
del
Goldman
bono
Sachs with a true
2003
interest
es
cost of
Goldman Sachs con un interés de
4.18298%. And the winning bidder for the general
4.12398%,
obligation bond
y el que
series
ganó
B is Goldman
el
Sachs
bono
and Company with a
B
true
es
interest cost of
Goldman Sachs con costo de
3.829004%.
So that is item number
3.29904%.
20,
Y
which
ese
is
es el
now before
artículo
us. Madam
20
Clerk,
que
has
está
that
frente a
resolution
nosotros,
been distributed?
señorita
No, I
actuaria.
believe it has
Eso
not
ha
been.
sido
Yeah, it's just
distribuido.
been
No, no
delivered.
creo.
Okay, let's
Apenas
call
lo
item
han
20 special
entregado.
as we await that
Y
resolution.
llamemos al artículo 20 a ver cuál es la
items
resolución.
27 through-
Artículo 27
Is it 30 or 44
es
remaining
al
before us?
3
Mr.
o al
Reyes.
44, señor Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. I would like
Gracias
to
al
reconsider
presidente
item
del
number 11
concilio.
for special.
Quiero
if possible.
reconsiderar
Number 11.
para
Yes.
eso especial el
Any
número
objection
11.
to reconsideration of item
¿Alguna
number 11? Without
oposición?
objection, that shall be
Si
reconsidered
hay
and
alguna
called special.
oposición va a ser reconsiderado.
I'm sorry, we're already holding item 21. I will be calling this special
Okay.
at
Yo
some
voy a
point. So
llamar el
Let's
especial
call
en
that.
algún
Mr.
punto.
Pacheco calls item 21 special.
El señor Pacheco le
Any
llama
other
al número
specials?
21 el
Mr.
especial. ¿Hay
Sorry as
algo
well,
más
if we could reconsider
especial?
number 3 and hold it on the table.
Si podemos reconsiderar el número 3
Okay,
y
any objection to
detenerlo sobre la
reconsideration of item
mesa.
number 3?
¿Alguna objeción
Seeing
en
none,
reconsiderar el
item
número 3?
3,
No veo
reconsider and call
ninguno.
special by Mr. Garcetti.
Reconsideramos el número 3 pedido por el señor
Any other
Garcetti.
specials?
¿Algo más especial?
Ms. Miskowski.
Item 36, please.
Señorita
Item 36,
del
call special by
concilio,
Ms. Miskowski.
artículo 36,
And seeing
lo
no
ponemos
further
en
requests,
especial.
Madam Clerk, would you
Y
please
no
open the
viendo
roll on the
otro
balance of the items?
pedimento, señorita actuaria
Please
puede
close the roll and
abrir el
tabulate the
roll
vote.
y sacar
12
el roll
ayes.
y tabular los votos.
The record has 11 members, now 12 members present, so those
Hay
items are approved. Ms.
12
Hahn,
miembros presentes, esos artículos son
forthwith on
aceptados.
39, please.
Por lo tanto,
Okay, we now have 12 members present, so let's take up the ordinances that we've had
las
remaining on the
ordenanzas que
desk.
tenemos que
Madam Clerk,
quedan
those
en el
item numbers, please.
escritorio.
Item
Señorita
number 1 was
actuaria
called
de esos
special. Items 4 and
artículos
5.
llaman que el
12
artículo
members
4 y
did come
5,
in during the
12
last vote for
miembros
the
que
21,
vinieron
well,
durante
21
los
was called special by
votos,
Councilmember Pacheco, but through the 22 through 26, so there were
del
12 members
22 al 26
present on that
hubieron
vote.
20 miembros
So the only
presentes en ese voto.
boards on the desk are 4 and
Los
5.
únicos votos
Okay, let's
fueron
take a
el
vote on
número
items 4
4 y
and
5.
5.
El
Now that we
4 y
have
el
12
5,
members, Madam
ya
Clerk,
tenemos
please open
12
the roll.
miembros. Señorita actuaria,
close the roll
abra el
and tabulate
roll,
the
cierre
vote.
el roll y tabule, sume los
4 and
votos.
5 are
12
approved, 22
sís.
through 26
El
as
4, el
ordinances are
22
also
al
approved.
26
Forthwith items 22
son
and
aprobados.
23, please.
También el 22 y el 23, por favor.
And let's proceed to the next item.
Procedamos al próximo
Next item,
artículo.
Mr. President, on the, is the closed session. Do you wish to
es
hold that
la
on the desk?
So closed session
Sesión
on the desk.
On the continuation
gusta de
agenda, item
tenerla
number
en el
46 is an
escritorio,
item for
sí.
which public hearings have not been
La
held.
audiencia
And I
donde
do
no
not
ha
have
habido
requests members of the
ninguna
public to be heard on this
audiencia.
item. We shall deem the
Si
public
no
hearing
tengo a
satisfied.
nadie en el público,
Any members wishing to call
asumo que
46
el público
special?
está satisfecho.
Mr. President,
Le queremos
Pacheco.
llamar especial.
we were still
Señor
holding item
presidente,
21
señor
special, right?
Pacheco.
Okay, it's not on the board.
Todavía
That's
tenemos
It'll
el
be there
29 como
momentarily. Item
especial.
46
Vamos a
now
tenerlo
before
ahí
us.
momentáneamente. El 46.
No request to call that item
Viendo que
special. Madam
no
Clerk,
hay un
please open
pedimento
the
para
roll on item
llamarle
46.
especial,
Please
abran
close
el
the
roll
roll
en el
and tabulate the
46,
vote.
12
abran el
ayes.
roll y
Item 46
tabule
is
el
approved.
voto. Artículo 26 es aprobado.
Next item, Mr. President, going back to the items called special. Item number 1 was called special in as much as there are cards from the public.
En cuanto
Item number
que
1
hay
now before us,
tarjetas
the
del
council
público.
calls forward
El
Alan Glazer,
concilio
followed by
llama
Ivy
a Alan
Weiss,
Glazer, seguido
Kevin
por Weiss,
Hullard,
Kevin
and Dick
Hullard
Pearson.
y
Please
Dick
come forward at this
Pearson. Por
time.
favor, vengan en este momento. Vengan al frente.
Good morning. My name is
Proceda.
Alan Glazer. I'm the
Mi
president
nombre es
of
Alan
the
Glazer,
Chatsworth
soy
Porter Ranch Chamber
presidente
of Commerce.
el
And the
Chamber
reason
of
I'm coming
Commerce
here
de Porter
today
Ranch. La
is
razón que estoy
for the
aquí hoy
renewal
es
of
para
the
renovar
Chatsworth Bid Business Improvement District.
bid de
I got a
Chatsworth.
lot of community events,
Hay muchos eventos de la
and there has been a
comunidad
lot of
y
positive
ha
comments that have come out of
mucho
those
comentario
events.
positivo que ha salido
People
de
are
estos
happy to
eventos. La
see
gente
that
está
we've
contenta
got
en
flags in
saber
our street for the next year.
que tenemos
They're cleaning up
banderas en nuestras
the
calles por
planters
el
along the
próximo año.
street.
Están limpiando
Hopefully next week
los
we'll be getting
jardineras.
trees,
Vamos a
and
tener
I've got a
nuevos
lot of
árboles
positive comments that have
y
come out of
tengo
the public.
comentarios positivos que han salido
It's
de
always good when
los comentarios.
the businesses around the
Muy bueno
community are very, very
cuando
happy with
los
what's going
negocios están
on in the
alrededor, la
community.
comunidad está.
Another way to attract more businesses
Es una nueva
is to
forma
improve that
de
district. Thank you very much.
atraer nuevos negocios, es
Thank you very
mejorando esa zona. Gracias.
Good morning. My name is Ivy Weiss. I'm the
Gracias.
CEO
Buenos
of the
días, mi
Chatsworth
nombre
Porter
es
Ranch
Ivy
Chamber of
Weiss. Yo
Commerce.
soy la
I sit on the bid board, and the
Yo
chamber is the
estoy en la
administrator of the
junta
bid.
y el Chamber
As
es
to
quien
those facts, we get most of
administra
the phone
el bid.
calls and the comments, and they have been
Recibimos los
99% positive. The
y
people who have businesses in
el
Chatsworth are very
99%
happy
los
and
comentarios
excited
han
with the
sido
improvements they have
positivos.
seen and the
La gente
improvements
que
that are
tiene
planned.
negocios
We
ahí
have put
están
up American
contentos
flags. The
con
bid has put up
las
American
mejorías
flags
que hemos
along
hecho. Han puesto banderas
corridor that is the
americanas en
bid,
el corredor
and they will
que
be
es
up
el
for a year.
bid.
People were very happy to see that, and we were getting stopped all the time from people within and outside the bid who wanted to congratulate the bid on the work that was done.
Que
We also
quería
send out
felicitar
a
en la bid por
newsletter
el trabajo que
every
fue
month
hecho. También
to inform
mandamos
bid members
una
of what is happening
carta
within the bid and within the
de
community, and we get lots
noticias
of positive
cada
comments about
mes.
that too.
También hemos
Thank
recibido
you
mucho
very much.
comentario
Thank you very
positivo
much.
sobre eso. Muchas gracias.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed council persons. My name is Kevin Huling. I'm a business owner of
Yo
La
soy
Sister
un
Southern
nuevo
Kitchen and Barbecue
de
in
un
Chatsworth, one of the
negocio en
smallest
Chatsworth.
restaurants you'll ever
Es
see,
uno de
but
los restaurantes más pequeñitos
small
que
but
va a haber,
mighty.
pero
And I just want to
es
come out in support
pequeñito pero
of
fuerte.
the Chatsworth bid.
Quiero salir para
Some of the
decir
items
que
that
avalo
were most
el
noticeable
bid de
in our
Chatsworth.
tenure were the successful
Es lo
street cleanup
más,
that we conducted. 1.5 miles
ha
of
habido
Devonshire
mucho
Street.
suceso en la
That's
limpieza de las
included
calles que
pressure sidewalk
incluyen
cleaning,
10
tree
millas,
maintenance, weed
lavar las
removal,
aceras
trash
con
removal, and
agua,
graffiti removal.
quitar
We
graffiti,
also
quitar basura.
redid the
También
planters at the
hemos
intersection of Canoga and Devonshire, which were
las
in
jardineras de
badly
media calle
disrepair.
las estaban en
We
mala
initiated a
condición.
street flag program that was
Hemos empezado el
pretty
programa de
much,
las
very
banderas
much appreciated during the post-September 11 event.
lo
We
necesitábamos
launched a
después del
website
evento de
in
septiembre
2000,
11.
which outlined
Hemos
our
abierto
activities,
nuestro website
both
que
past and
delinea
future,
nuestras actividades, las
and
pasadas y las futuras.
members of the
Y
bid
los
receive
miembros
newsletters
del
once a
bid
month to
han
outline our
recibido
activities.
cartas de noticias para
Some of our local
outline
events,
nuestras
what we
actividades,
sponsored
nuestras
was a very
actividades
successful
locales que hemos
state of community event that was
sponsored.
held at in Granada Hills with the Granada Hills Chamber and
con el Granada Hills
Chatsworth
Chamber.
We also participated in two small
hemos
business
participado en
and
dos
home-based business mixers that
negocios
were
de
open to
casa
all of
que
our
fueron
bid
abiertos a
stakeholders.
nuestro bid stakeholders.
Not to sound redundant, but
No
I again
para
want to
querer
appeal for the support
repetir lo
of the
mismo,
bid.
pero quiero
And
volver a apelar
as a small business owner,
el soporte del
it's a
bid.
small price to pay. The $180 for most
Es
people are assessed for
un
this is
precio
a
muy
small price
pequeño
to
que
pay.
pagar,
And
$180
thank you for your time.
por
Thank you
persona.
very much.
Y muchas
Final
gracias por su
speaker is
tiempo.
Dick Pearson.
Nuestro
Mr. President, council members, my name is Dick Pearson. I'm currently the elected president of the Chatsworth Business Improvement
corrientemente soy
District.
el presidente electo
It was a couple of years ago I stood before this council
hace
and
unos
requested
pocos años
approval of the
hablé frente a
original
este
ordinance
concilio
creating the
y
bid,
pedí
but it was
que
almost 4 years ago
aprobaran la
that
creación de
Councilman
este bid, pero fue casi
Burnson helped us find the
4
funds
años
from
atrás
FEMA to
cuando el
establish the
señor
original
Benson
Business
nos
Improvement
ayudó a
District.
conseguir el dinero de FEMA para
The wheels of
mejorar el
government
distrito.
grind
Las
slowly.
ruedas
It wasn't
del
until until about 18 months ago, we received the first half of our funding. The second half we received a few months ago. During that period of time, we have accomplished quite a bit more toward design than we have implementation. However, in the next few months, the implementation of the planting of some 60 trees, due largely to the cooperation of the mayor's office, will be accomplished. They talked to me yesterday on Friday on the phone and said within the next 2 weeks we should see that begin. That will make a gigantic physical and visual impression in the business improvement district. The overwhelming comments from the people who have attended the meetings, we have taken their suggestions. We have studied and planned. We have several other projects on the drawing boards, which include more streetscape design projects, also some marketing programs to help bring business to Chatsworth. I urge the council to support the assessment for the second year of the Business Improvement District. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This concludes public comment for item number 1. We now proceed to council discussion, beginning with Mr. Burnson.
Procedamos con una discusión del concilio. Empezamos
Yes, members of the council, I am totally supportive of the bid in Chatsworth, just as I have been throughout our district. And by the way, those of you that haven't gone over to Kevin's restaurant, Play Sisters, and tried the food there, it's great. I can vouch for that. However, we have had some people that seem, we've had letters, I don't see anybody here today, but we have had communications in our office. Are you in opposition to the bid? Did you fill out a card?
Si usted está en oposición a el bid, llenó una tarjeta. Sí lo hizo muy bien.
What I would ask is this. I would ask that we continue this for 30 days and the committee try to work out some of the objections or some of the problems, but I do fully, just for the members of the bid and the Chatsworth Chamber here, I do fully support it and will definitely support it and provide the renewal of it in 30 days, but I would ask that we try to work with the people who seem to have some problems. I don't know what they are, but we've gotten some communications, so I'd ask that the public hearing be closed, and that unless we want to hear from these two people today and close the public hearing so we don't have in the future, Mr. President.
Well, I have no further requests from members of the public to be heard on this
No,
item.
they're here, however.
No, estas personas están
Did you wish to
aquí.
submit a card? Then we need you to
¿Gusta
submit the
presentar una tarjeta?
Oh, you don't wish to submit a card?
¿Usted no quiere presentar una
Then we need you to
tarjeta?
submit it.
Oh, okay.
Necesitamos que
All right,
la
at any rate,
presente.
I'm going to ask the public hearing be closed and be continued for 30
Le voy a
days. When it
pedir
comes
que
back,
esta
I will
audiencia
support it and we
continúe
will
dentro
approve
de
it.
30
I just want
días y en ese
to have them
entonces
meet
yo
and see if
la
some of
voy a
these
apoyar
differences can be
y
resolved.
solo quiero
So
ver
that would be
si
my motion.
estas diferencias
fine, but
pueden
since there
ser
are members of the public
resueltas.
here,
Está bien si como hay
Well,
miembros
it's the
del
saying,
público
speak
aquí
now or
hoy.
forever hold your peace. We're getting ready
Si
to
quieren
close the
hablar,
public hearing.
hablen
This will be your
ahora,
only
si
opportunity
no,
to speak.
para
If you wish
siempre.
to address the council, we ask you to come
Hold
forward
your
at this
peace.
time and hand a speaker card to the guards for the file. You have a completed speaker card?
¿Tiene una tarjeta completa?
How about one of you goes to get the card and one of you comes up and... Guess they like to do things together. Sir? Ma'am? If we're going to have staff help out a little bit here, have them come forward and testify, and it's okay if you give me the card afterwards. Well, go ahead and hear from me now.
Well, obviously, we're here to protest the bid. I myself am a business owner in Chatsworth. I own John Stevenson Automotive, which is just off of Devonshire. I just recently became a member of the Chatsworth Chamber of Commerce. A lot of suspicious things that I feel are suspicious and I think really need to be investigated as far as the bid is concerned, where the money's being spent, et cetera. Pardon me, because I'm nervous. So. I myself have not seen any improvements that have created what the bid was intended to originally set out, which was to improve the business district, bring business in for the business owners. Not only am I a business owner for the past 7 years in the area, but also have been been a Valley resident almost all my life, so I've watched Chatsworth through its progression grow. A few things that the council, or I'm sorry, the members of the bid had quoted, which I am confused about, because Denise, who owns Denise Pet Grooming, which is in the bid, went around and took petitions to many, many businesses. I mean, how many? 150 businesses. They either didn't know what the bid was, or they were against it. And quite a few of these people sent in the faxes that we were required to send in opposition to the bid. So just looking at the sheer, volume of money of $90,000 or $100,000, we just don't see where it's being spent. And quite honestly, I think their budget needs to be torn apart and investigated, because we handed out actually copies of the receipts from last year, and if you take a look at them, they're in a pamphlet. Yeah, exactly that one right there. Bank statements, where the money was spent, and it's just really, the accounting is very poor.
Okay.
I mean, there's very little explanation as to where the money did go. And the other thing that I think is kind of strange is, why is it that the bid supports the Chamber of Commerce, in the sense that the bid is renting a room from the Chamber of Commerce for $1,000 a month, which would have been donated by who? Another business owner on Devonshire would have gladly have donated a meeting room.
Otro dueño de un negocio en Devonshire.
Ma'am, did you wish to testify as well?
Yes.
Señora, ¿quiere usted declarar
Yeah, I
también?
spoke to Terry Baldy,
Sí,
which
hablé
was
con
on,
Terry,
she's on the board of directors, and she said that this space was available for the board members.
Que este lugar está disponible para los.
As far as I know, if looking at the bank statements and the receipts, there's a lot of money going into the chamber for administrative services. That's where most of the money goes. $90,000 was raised last year, and I believe $50,000 was spent actually on the bid, but there were no improvements that were justifying that amount of money being spent at that time. The chamber gets $20,000 a year. It's over $1,000 a month.
La Cámara recibe más de $1,000
if you look at the receipts, they're for administrative services. I don't know, if we're renting, if we have employees. I've called their office. They've said that they've had, I'm really nervous, so they have employees as far as equipment, computers, newsletters. I've never received a newsletter. The equipment bought for the bid, never seen a receipt for that. There's nothing in there.
Okay, ma'am, I'm going to ask you to conclude now.
Bueno,
There's
señora, le voy a pedir que
representatives from the
concluya.
bid, there's
Hay
representatives of the
miembros
council office here.
representando el
Your
PIR,
request and
representando la
concerns
oficina del
seem simple
concilio.
enough that they
Su
can address
pregunta es
and provide the information you're looking
suficientemente
for.
fácil que la puede.
For both you and the gentleman, I will ask that
Y
you
usted y el señor
submit
le voy a
completed
pedir
speaker
que
cards so we can include those in the council
presenten
file.
una tarjeta completa
Can I
e
just
incluirla en el
conclude?
archivo del
Okay.
concilio.
I just ask that you
Solo
take time
pido
and you
que
look at the
se
information
tomen
that's in
el
front of
tiempo y
you.
vean la información frente a ustedes,
Postpone this
que
so we can
pospongan esto
educate the public
para que podamos
on what
educar
the
al
bid is.
público de
Most
qué es
people that
el
have gone
PIR.
to have
La
opposed it,
mayoría de las
and
personas que han
I've gone
ido
door
se
to
han
door,
opuesto.
150 flyers.
He ido como a
Just
150
investigate the chamber's
boletas e
involvement in the bid.
investigar
Thank you.
Thank you very much. This
involucramiento de los
concludes public comment and formally
Esto
closes the
concluye y
public hearing
formalmente
on
cierra
this
la
item.
audiencia
Mr. Burnson has a
pública en
request
este
and a motion to
artículo.
continue this matter for 30
Señor
days.
Burton
Yes,
quiere
I do,
continuar
and let me
esto
just
por
add
30
that,
días.
just for the
Sí,
record,
quiero decir,
my
para
background is a small
las
business
actas,
person in the retail
yo
business,
tengo un negocio
in
pequeño,
storefront communities such as Chatsworth is today. And I wish that we had something like a bid in those days, because there were always merchants who weren't willing to pay their share of cleanup and so forth, and things that we wanted to do for our community to make it a better community. In malls, when people rent businesses in malls today, they pay common area costs, which are imposed to do the things that bids are doing. As far as the practices of how the money is spent, that's another matter. That's something we will take a look at. One of the things that my understanding is, does the bid meet in the at the station at Chatsworth Station in
la
that
estación de
community room?
Chatsworth en ese grupo de
Why are
comunidad.
we paying rent
¿Por qué
to
estamos
the chamber
pagando
for that?
renta a
Just
la
give me a-
Cámara por
yeah.
eso?
Why are we paying rent to the
Solo
chamber
quiero
for
que me
that?
digan
Simple
eso.
answer.
¿Por qué estamos
We're
pagando
not paying for
renta?
that room. We're paying for one of the
No
offices, one of
estamos
the private
pagando por eso,
offices.
estamos
Oh, I
pagando
see.
por
And the
las
rest of the money is
oficinas
for administrative
privadas,
services,
y el
including use
resto
of
del
all the
dinero
office machines,
es por
the
servicios
telephones, answering of the
administrativos,
telephones, and Ivy
incluyendo
is
contestar
the
el
general director
teléfono,
of the bid.
el
I
equipo
just
de
wanted to get,
teléfono, el fax
didn't want to leave
machine.
that lying out there.
Está muy bien, solo
Anyway,
quería
we'll
saber
continue this
eso.
for 30
De
days.
todos modos, vamos a
We'll take a
continuar
look at
esto
these
por
things.
30 días.
I'd like for the
Y de último,
committee
quiero
board
que
to meet with these people, see if you can
community
resolve some of these things,
sepa,
and then we'll bring it back to the council in 30 days.
y vamos a
Other members wishing
volverlo
to
a llevar
be heard
frente
on
al
this
concilio
item
dentro de
today.
30 días.
Seeing none, then without objection, this
Viendo
matter
ninguna
shall continue
objeción,
for 30
a
days. That would
este
be
asunto se
September
va a
10th.
continuar por 30 días hasta septiembre
Thank you
10.
very much. Next item.
Next item, Mr. President, item number 2 is an ordinance that was remaining on the desk.
We now have more than 12 members. Members wishing to be heard on item number 2. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved.
Es
Next
aprobado.
item, please.
Next item, Mr. President, item number 3, called special by
Artículo
Councilmember
número 3,
Garcetti.
llamado
Garcetti.
por el Councilman Garcetti.
Are we done? Use the hold on the desk.
Okay. Request to hold that matter on the desk.
Next item, number 11,
El
called special by
próximo artículo
Councilmember
número
Reyes.
11,
Mr. Reyes.
llamamos al miembro del concilio,
Item
señor
number 11.
Reyes. Artículo número 11.
Council President, council members, I rise to address this issue
Me
with the intent
levanto
of
para
trying to create a focus in an area that was hard hit and is still suffering as a result of what happened in the aftermath of the riots or the civil unrest, however you want to describe it. And in committee, I did ask for
el comité que
some
pedí.
follow-up. And my intention is to
Mi
learn from this
intención
experience.
es aprender por
I know
esta
we tried very
experiencia.
hard
Yo
to
sé que
invest in
hemos
this area,
tratado
but also know we left the
mucho
trail
de invertir en
of
este
activities,
asunto.
investment decisions. And I just would like for us to learn from it. And just speaking to the director right now, I understand we're going to go in that
solamente
direction. But just for the record, I wanted
Solo
to be
para que
very
conste en
clear
actas, quiero
that what I'm looking
que
for
esté claro que estoy buscando
those projects, those
esos
applicants that were
proyectos,
turned down,
esos aplicantes
those that were
que
supported,
fueron
the
negados,
ones that
esos
were
que
given resources, how
han
did they perform,
apoyado,
so we can learn from it.
para que podamos aprender
And in the
de ellos
process,
y en el
understand what we're
proceso
going to do with the
entender
balance,
qué vamos a
the
hacer con el
Section
balance.
108, which I believe is up to about $197 million.
Creo que va
So,
por $700,000.
those of you that
Así
were
es que
part or
ustedes que fueron
experienced
parte
what happened
de
those 3 days,
o
we understand how severe the
estuvieron
situation can get.
en esos 3 días
But quite frankly,
saben
the very
que
same
tan severa
elements,
se
the
puede
very same
poner la
conditions
situación, esos
that
mismos
promoted or that
elementos, esas
provoked
mismas
this kind of
condiciones que
environment
provocaron
still exists.
esta
And we have a lot of
violencia
work to do.
todavía existe
So,
y
for
tenemos
the
mucho
purposes of
trabajo
the
que
newer
hacer
council members,
para
we need to
el
create a
beneficio de
focus on
los
how we're going
nuevos
to
miembros
invest
del concilio.
in our
Necesitamos
city.
enfocarnos
We need to
en
learn from
cómo
our mistakes
vamos
and build upon our
a
successes.
llevar esto a nuestra
So my
ciudad. Debemos
understanding is
aprender
that
de
the
nuestras
department is going to do this
equivocaciones
analysis.
y
I
construir
understand the
sobre nuestros
administration will be at
triunfos.
bare bones
Entiendo que la
assistance until
administración
we
va a
close
ser
out. I agree with the CDD, CAO,
Estoy de
and CLA's
acuerdo con
report,
los
but I really
CEOs,
believe
pero verdaderamente
that in
creo
the findings and
que
recommendations concerning the bank,
en
which are not
las
certain at this time, that the report reflect
que
the kinds of
el
lessons
informe refleje
and understand
la
the
clase
profiles
de elecciones
of who was
y los
able to
perfiles
benefit, who was turned
de
down,
quienes
understand
pudieron
the quantities that were administered, and
quienes
understand the
fueron
benefits that were
denegados,
generated from those
entender los
decisions.
beneficios
So
de
with
esas
that,
decisiones y
I
con
support the
eso
report, but I'm looking forward to meeting with the
apoyo
departments
el
and have a
informe,
greater
pero
understanding of what really
espero
happened over at
juntarme
the
con
Community Development Bank.
el
Thank you.
grupo para ver qué más vamos a
Thank you,
hacer.
Mr. Reyes. Other members wishing to be heard on item number 11? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Next item, Mr. President, Item number 20 was called special. The resolution has been distributed to all the council members, and that's authorizing issuance of general obligation bonds. And do you wish me to read the true interest cost again and the winning bid?
For the record, if you will, please.
Okay, the winning bidder for the general obligation bonds series 2002A is Goldman Sachs and Company with a true interest cost of 4.18298%. And the winning bidder for the general obligations bond series 2002B is Goldman Sachs and Company with a true interest cost of 3.82900%.
Okay, the resolution from the CAO has been distributed. Members wishing to be heard on this item?
Los miembros parecen
Seeing
ser
none,
escuchados.
is there a motion for approval?
Como nadie
Mr. Pacheco moves. Madam Clerk,
el
please open the
asunto es
roll.
aprobado, por favor, abra
Please close the
la
roll
lista.
and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Next item, Mr. President, item number 21 was called special by Council Member Pacheco.
Mr. Pacheco, item 21.
Mr. President, colleagues, item 21 is the dissolution or the termination of Miracle on Broadway bid. There were some remaining funds in the city accounts. I'm interested in amending motion to redirect those funds to be spent on Broadway with the original intent of the city was to support Broadway and its redevelopment. So I have an amending motion I'd like to move simply in terms of the funds and the reallocation of the funds to that corridor.
Is that a verbal amendment, Mr. Pacheco?
No, it's circulated in writing.
Has that amending motion been distributed?
It has not been distributed yet.
Why don't you read, Mr. Pacheco, why don't you go ahead and read the motion, we'll take it as a verbal.
Okay, I'll make it, I move that the matter of the communication from Chair, Economic Development Appointment Committee, ordinance first consideration relative to the Broadway Business Improvement District, disestablishment, item 21, today's council agenda, CF 99-0083, be amended to delete recommendation 3, and to adopt in lieu thereof the following new recommendation 3. Authorize the city clerk and controller to transfer all the remaining assessment revenue and interest in the Broadway bid trust account to the current historic court bid for the purchase of surveillance cameras to ensure the safety of the residents, visitors, and workforce of the Broadway corridor.
Okay, we'll accept that as a verbal amendment. If you would please submit that in writing to the clerk for the record.
Lo vamos a aceptar como
Is there a second?
una
Ms. Perry seconds.
verbal.
Members wishing to be heard on this item? Seeing none, Madam Clerk,
Como nadie
please
lo
open the roll
opone,
on the item as
clerk,
amended.
por favor, abra
Please
el
close the
roll,
roll and
cierre
tabulate the
el
vote.
roll y
14
cuente los
ayes.
That
votos.
is approved.
14
Forthwith,
sí.
please.
Es aprobado.
Next item.
Continúe, por favor.
Next item, Mr. President, item number 36 was called
El
special by Councilmember
artículo
Miskowski.
36 fue
Ms. Miskowski.
llamado por
Thank
el
you, Mr.
miembro del
President. I would like
Concilio.
the staff to come forward. This is a
Quisiera que viniera
final
el miembro
settlement on a
de-
matter that the City Council has heard before. It deals with preferential parking districts, and I would just like an update from the City Attorney as to the effect of this lawsuit, and in particular whether or not we can
En
move forward, and
particular,
are we
si
moving
podemos
forward with the
movernos,
preferential parking districts in
seguir
the city
adelante,
pursuant to this settlement.
según
I'd be happy to
el
brief you,
convenio que se hizo
Councilmember.
en
Shelley Smith, Assistant City
la
Attorney.
transacción.
I'm pleased to report that the challenge to the city's preferential parking district 92 has been finally settled. The plaintiffs are going to dismiss the lawsuit
Los
with prejudice,
creyentes
and we're
van
going to
a
rescind the original formation of PPD
rescindir el caso
92.
con la
Without prejudice, however, to the future formation of a preferential parking district in this neighborhood or in any other district. My understanding from DOT
Lo que yo
staff,
creo del DOT
Ms. Miskowski, is
La
that
señorita
we
Mikowski
have completed our review and
dice que
refinement
ha
of all preferential
completado
parking
el
district formation
review
procedures.
y
We are
todos los
confident that they conform to all
procedimientos de
statutory
reforma.
requirements,
Estamos
and the backlog,
conformes
which
de
built
que
up a bit while we were
llenan la ley
doing
de
that review,
prescripción.
is now moving forward. I believe we
Ahora todo
have
esto se
about
mueve adelante.
8
Creo que
or
tenemos como
so
8
that are
o
going to be
más
on the
que
Transportation
van a estar
Committee
en el
agenda
comité de
tomorrow morning.
transportación o en la agenda de transportación mañana en la mañana para estar seguros que estamos moviéndonos hacia adelante.
Applications that were actually in the pipeline to ensure that the process is
appropriate and they will be moving them forward. Y que los van a estar moviendo hacia
Thank you. Members, I just want to let everyone know that we can move forward on these. I'd also like to advise the Chair of Personnel Committee and Budget and Finance, as well as Transportation, that now that the way has been cleared, we need to make sure that the Department of Transportation has adequate staffing, because what we've done is catch up and look like we can clear those that were in the backlog. But I understand that that under the budget this year, that perhaps adequate staff was not given to the Department of Transportation to process and enable neighborhoods to come forward and ask for the kind of relief that this does offer, now that we have the system in place to that legally reviews it with all the good processes that we should have. And I would just like to alert and encourage everyone on the council to be aware of hopefully a communication that will be coming through shortly from the Department of Transportation to increase the staffing and unfreeze the staffing positions for this particular area in the Department of Transportation to do good for the neighborhoods that are submitting these petitions.
I'm sure DT staff will appreciate that.
Thank you, Ms. Misikowski.
Gracias, señor Misikowski. Señor Bernstein.
Yeah, Shelley, does this in any way impair granting of new districts?
No, it does not.
It does not. That's been settled.
Le impide.
You said it was settled with prejudice, not without prejudice.
Their lawsuit was settled with prejudice.
Yeah. Their suit only.
Their suit.
So it does. How would this affect?
It's without prejudice to our formation in the future of any preferential parking district.
Does this put us in a position where somebody else might challenge us the same manner?
We don't believe so.
You don't believe so? Okay. I would just add that we do have a predicament as far as the new districts are concerned, even the old districts, which I believe we have 7 or 8, which are going to be up for reinstatement. And the personnel for these people, I understand the department is going to hold them in abeyance instead of transferring them into the regular services until we can make an allocation, so we'll at least be able to cover that phase of it, but we do have a big backlog of other applications, so we're going to have to find the funding in order to do this. So I hope everybody's going to be very patient and understand if we don't just automatically rubber stamp these new districts that are coming in, you'll have to understand that we have to have the resources to do it. So at any rate, thank you for the report.
Thank you, Mr. Bernstein. Other members wishing to be heard on this item? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please open the roll, please close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved.
Thank you, members.
Madam Clerk, if we can take item number 3 next, I believe Mr. Garcetti's questions have been answered on this item. Item number 3, Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to amend what is before us to waive the fees here. We had, there was $900 in fees, and we had talked extensively with the owner of this property and with Building and Safety. I've just gotten off the phone with David Lara and representatives from Building Safety, and they feel that they can absorb this. It's a little bit unclear about documentation of whether or not this, whether a refund had been given or not, and we feel confident that this is probably the best way to move forward. Mr. Caribbean, who's been here 4 different times on this, and Building and Safety concurs, so I would urge your support and would like to verbally amend to, instead of pay the $900, that Building and Safety will absorb those fees.
Okay, is there any objection to that amendment? Seeing none, shall be incorporated. Other members wishing to be heard on item number 3? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please open the roll on item number 3 as amended. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Next item, Mr. President, there's been a request from the City Attorney to continue item 45A, which is one of the closed session items, to tomorrow, which is August 7th.
Okay, without objection, item 45A shall be continued.
And there's a special one on the desk. It's not on the agenda, and it's a motion presented by Councilmember Weiss. The City Attorney will explain the need to make the finding.
Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, this is a motion from Councilmember Weiss. In order for the council to consider the motion, there has to be a finding made by the council that under the provisions of the government code and the rules of the city council that there is a need to take immediate action on this matter and that the need to take the action came to the attention of the council subsequent to the posting of today's city council agenda.
Members wishing to be heard on the findings? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Special one now before us. On the motion itself, Mr. Weiss.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, this is a request to exercise our authority under Section 245. The West Los Angeles Area Planning Commission was supposed to have a meeting last week to consider an appeal by community members in my district regarding the proposed erection of a cell tower by a cell company. And there had previously been a hearing before the ZA, and there was a resolution in front of the ZA. Some members of the community weren't satisfied with that resolution, and they wanted to exercise their rights under the city charter to come and testify before an area planning commission and seek review. Unfortunately, when they got to the West LA Area Planning Commission, they discovered that there was one vacancy, that there was one individual who no longer wishes to be on that area planning commission. I think there was someone on vacation. So the area planning commission didn't have a quorum. The community showed up. They didn't have the opportunity to have their day in court in the community the way our charter envisions it. And so the previous decision stood. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's what any of us envision under the charter. We're certainly for communities now. I would like to exercise our authority, send the matter back down so the community can have an opportunity to be heard. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss. Other members wishing to be heard on the motion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith, please. Next item.
This is the time for comments from the public on items not on council's agenda.
Council calls for it at this time Roberto Carvajal, followed by Leonard Rose Jr. and Bruce Dobb.
Hello. Hello, my name is Roberto Carvajal. I've been before you on the subject of fairdism before, but I'm not here for that today. I'm here to represent the residents at the Ross Hotel. We had a meeting yesterday, a public hearing where Jan Perry was at and Mr. Reyes was there. And during that hearing, I asked for a vote from all our neighbors, which were approximately 500 people there at that hearing, if they thought that our hotel should be shut down as a nuisance property, which, well, I'm trying to get this across, and Ms. Perry interrupts and jumps in and said that we were, when I was asking for a vote, that we were guilty of defecating and pissing on the floor in the hallways. We've never heard that charge before. It was a complete fabrication, but it caused a big disruption, so there was no way we could get a vote out. There was a lot of noise after that. I'm just asking Ms. Perry, what is she so scared of? Our 500 neighbors right there, people that live with us and know us, for them to have a simple vote, because that's what we're doing, voting on things, as to whether we should be shut down. I've asked you several times, and I've asked Dina Stone and Senior McNanny, which is our lead officer there, and we've offered them keys to our front door to come in and please run through our hallways whenever you want, check, spot check, welfare check, whatever you want. I want for the record to submit this key. I'll give it to Senior Curry here. To get it to Dina Stone or to Senior McNanny so she can come in and do that.
Thank you very much. I'll ask you to conclude. We do have other speakers waiting.
I'm sorry?
We have other speakers waiting. I'm going to ask you to conclude now. Leonard Rose Jr., followed by Bruce Dobb and Michael Saito.
Leonard Wayne Rose Jr., I'd like to talk about the park recreation. You know, they have Cabana Park, like a sponsor, like all these businesses, like a bus and car dealer and different furniture company, you know, that sponsor the park recreation. You know, if you guys have this in Los Angeles, and you could do the same thing too, and say special thanks to the business and community organization who make our program possible. And they got fun activities on June, July, and August, the Camino Park, if you plan this in next year, 2003, at your city park in Los Angeles, and you could have this. And then they got possible like baseball, city view, classes, community, park, family fun,
diversión de
trial,
familia,
park, concert, park, playground, program, recreation center, sky soccer, special event, swimming, tennis center, tennis court, trip, and voluntary years and youth sports.
Thank you.
And this got everything here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Dodd, followed by Michael Saintshill and Candido Mares.
Thank you, Mr. President, council members, for allowing me to speak. I stand today having been a 22-year veteran of economic development in the city of Los Angeles and doing loans throughout the city with many of these block grant programs that are mentioned in the item number 11 for the Community Development Bank. I'm basically in support of what the council did today by passing that item. I'd like to draw your attention to two salient parts of it. Number 1A said work with LACDB within 18 months so that there will be a transition to a sustainable self-sufficiency or assumption of the functions by another entity. And I'd like to ask that the council look seriously at other entities sooner than 18 months. Many of the businesses in the empowerment zone and distressed parts of LA desperately need money. Company that sent me here today, American Apparel, waited 2.5 years for a loan while it created over 500 jobs in the empowerment zone. It still waits for funding of its loan that was approved over 3 months ago. We can't get the money out the door simply because you don't have experienced economic development practitioners at the Community Development Bank today as we speak. Okay. You have a lot of them in the city of LA. Mara's group, Vermont Slauson, Juanita's group, down in South Central. You have a number of groups. I use these people by first name because I know them on the first name basis. Roberto out in the valley. There's no shortage of seasoned, experienced practitioners in economic development. Why do we have to have people who are first-timers up at bat with something as important as the LACDB? Thank you very much. The last thing I'd like to just call your attention to is the last part of this item, and then I will leave the stand. It says, if LACDB's financial activities are found ineligible by HUD, the city may have to reimburse costs with non-federal funds. That will directly impact city general obligation funds. I think the council members need to be alerted to that, and I hope you get professionals in there who can deal with that issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Saintshill, followed by Mr. Mares.
Good morning. My name is Michael H. Saintshill. I want to address the lady councilman for the Uptown Downtown District, Mrs. Perry, the mighty Mrs. Perry. Mrs. Perry quoted in the media this week that there are too many fast food establishments in the black community. I would like her to think very hard on what she said, because would Ms. Perry prefer to have vacant buildings and unemployment in the neighborhood? Two, you look down on 5th Street and on Spring Street, and there are 2 liquor stores in a depressed area. You should be looking at these 2 liquor stores that are sitting there and doing something about it, because you pass by any time in this area here and you see a long line of vagrants waiting to buy liquor, and that's not right. And I think election time will roll around sooner or later, and then I think Mrs. Perry would not be
va a llegar el tiempo de elección y yo creo que la señorita Perry ya no va a ser miembro del concilio. Otra cosa, ha oído en el radio todas las personas que son judías constantemente hablando mal de los mexicoamericanos, el mexicano que viene aquí buscando trabajo.
The Mexican down, or the Mexican American down, on getting back to Mexico, or making LA a little Mexico and all that. You have a little China, a little Korea and all that mess going on. You take a chance and drive on the bus on rush hour period, and you look and see the faces that are on those buses, and those faces are Spanish descent. And I don't think it's right for the talk show host to actually beat down the little man. They're here to work, and if you send them back or you give them a hard time, what you're going to get? They go back, you give them a hard time, then who's going to do the dirty work? They're doing the dirty work.
Thank you very much.
Hard workers. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mattis.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity to speak. It's never too late to say thank you, and last week I had to leave early, but I wanted to thank the Public Safety Committee and Councilwoman Ms. Kinkowski and this entire council for providing funding for the community court program, not only in Van Nuys, but the downtown area. As co-chairman of the Van Nuys Community Court, I've seen the impact that it's made on the community, but not only the community, but those that are sent to the community court. It has changed their lives dramatically. The other benefit from the community court has been that through the volunteer center, it has become an anti-gang program. When you have 24 to 50 kids working in their community, they understand what it means to take care of that community. And one of the things that the parents have come back and told us is that their children are too tired to be out and doing mischievous things. So again, I want to thank you for giving this gift to the Van Nuys area and for the entire San Fernando Valley and for the greatest city and the greatest country in the world. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mattis. This concludes public comment for today's meeting. Next time, please.
Do you wish to clear the desk before going into closed session?
Let's do housekeeping.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Those motions shall be posted and referred.
There are excuses on the desk. Councilmember Pacheco requests to be excused Wednesday, August 14th for city business that meets council policy.
Mr. Pacheco is excused.
Council President Padilla requests to be excused city business Friday, August 9th to leave at 12:15. A motion is required.
Mr. Reyes moves. Excuse granted.
Councilmember Weiss requests to be excused for personal business October 2nd. That meets council policy.
Mr. Weiss is excused.
And Councilmember Garcetti requests to arrive at 10:30 Friday, August 9th for city business, and a motion is required.
Mr. Burnson moves. Mr. Garcetti is excused.
That clears the desk for closed session.
Okay, in conformance to California law, the council will now adjourn into closed session. I would ask the guards to please clear the chambers. Back into open session. Madam Clerk, matter before us, please.
The matter before council, item 45B, is settlement authorizing the city attorney to accept the offer of settlement, and that's in $381,419.04, and that's from an anonymous taxpayer to settle unpaid telephone users' taxes.
Please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith, please.
And that clears the desk, Mr. President.
Are there any announcements? Any announcements? If not, then please rise for adjourning motions. Yeah, I think we all want to. I think we all want to. Members of the council, members of the public, both here and watching at home, as I referenced in the beginning of the meeting, Los Angeles has lost one of its treasures. Chick Hearn passed away yesterday at the age of 85. Chick Hearn, the voice of the Los Angeles Lakers, but also a resident of the Valley, will sorely be missed. I think we all have an anecdote, a favorite phrase, or a story about him. Why don't we begin adjourning tributes by just going around the horseshoe and having each member share something, and then we'll do additional tributes after that. Mr. Burnson.
Yes, as somebody who's been a Laker fan from the very beginning, I just can't imagine listening to a Laker game without hearing Chick. I think he made the sport something special for all of us, and I think that any of the fame and greatness the Lakers have achieved, he has a very, very large share in that. But aside from that, my understanding is that he was a terrific human being, loved by everybody, and a great family person, and he's going to be sorely missed. And I think that this next season, when you start listening to games or watching him on TV, you'll notice the difference, because he won't be there. But I think he'll always, for those of us that have been Lakers fans, I think he'll always have a place in our heart.
I'd just say what a final year that Chick had. I mean, to go through everything that he did and to come back from the hospital, and that first day to be able to announce as well as he had all those other years. He really went out with a final year that was befitting of him. I think one of the things about Chick Hearn that struck me is he was always such a class act. He would give props, he would compliment players from the opposing team consistently, and he would hold our players accountable. And behavior off the court at a time when in professional sports things seem to get worse and worse, he would demand a standard of all of us, that we be sportsmen and sportswomen. And I remember right after the championship being with him at Staples Center, and one of the things I did is I invited him to come here to council, and we were actually under negotiation working. He said he'd love to come down, and we were going to be able to honor his work, but I hope maybe with Councilmember Perry we can do that sometime posthumously and certainly erect something befitting of the man around Staples Center or something. But he was on his way here just before this happened, so he will be greatly, greatly missed and forever loved in the city.
Just want to add my condolences as well to the family, and I think I consider all of Los Angeles the family of Chick Hearn, as well as he not only was wonderful with the Lakers, but was also a good community leader. I met him several years ago when he was honored by LA's Best. He and all of his family in the family brunch, and it was clear that he was dedicated to the city of Los Angeles, and we are all mourning today really an icon of Los Angeles, and just want to send my condolences to his family.
It's in the refrigerator. The door's shut, the light's out, the eggs are cooling, the butter's getting hard, and the Jell-O is jiggling. Goodbye, Chick. We're going to miss you. You were the best. But as one of the fans was quoted as saying yesterday, there is definitely a golden mic waiting for Chick in heaven.
Chick, I think, is bigger than the game, bigger than the sport, bigger than the Lakers. Chick is part of Los Angeles, part of Los Angeles identity forever, and that will never be gone.
I just wanted to also join in and say that it is going to be very interesting to see how the games are going to be called next year and who we're going to anticipate filling those shoes, which are going to be very difficult to follow in. He is definitely a unique person, a unique voice, and someone that the city of Los Angeles has treasured for a long time, and we will definitely miss him.
I agree with Mr. Garcetti. We should honor this special man in a very special way. I had the good fortune to stand on the stage next to Mr. Hearn at the last Laker parade, and at his age, which I guess may have been 84, 85 at that point, just several months ago, he so clearly enjoyed himself. He was vital, he was fully engaged, full of life, vim, and vigor, and I think we were all fortunate to have him as one of our treasures here in the city of Los Angeles.
Chick for me was better than television. I remember as a youngster sitting at the kitchen table, and we had a little radio on top of a refrigerator. And my brothers and I are listening to the game, and it's that shot that Jerry West shot from the half-court line. And everybody was tense, and they were losing, and Mr. Clutch pulls up, throws it up, it's a swish. Chick Hearn is ecstatic, and you could see it. And even with television, I turned that down and put on Chick Hearn, because he could tell you what happened, and it was so exciting. And the beauty of it is that he did it in such a way where it didn't matter what language you spoke, as long as you understood English, the picture was there, it was clear. And in a city as great as Los Angeles, with all its diversity, Chick Hearn crossed all bridges, connected all communities with his heartwarming thoughts. I always loved his reference to his wife, Marge, you know, I'm going to be home late. And it was that whole family thing that he generated. So we'll definitely miss him, and truly an icon for Los Angeles.
Mr. President, members of the council, for nearly a quarter of a century, closer to a half century, we heard Chick Hearn, a civic leader in his own right, and one who might be remembered as Mr. Original. Many of us can recall specific anecdotes. The one that comes to mind for me in graphic detail was a fully shaven Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in one of his last games was described by Mr. Hearn as moving briskly down the court, dribbling, unusual for Kareem, that is down court stretch. And Chick said to a fully bald Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, to the crowd, here he comes. He's pushed back his hair and said, "Look out, baby, I'm on my way." Chick Hearn.
Colleagues, Mr. President, I, like so many people, grew up here in Los Angeles with Chick Hearn. Grew up with Vin Scully, Jerry Doggett, another individual who passed several years ago. And I would drive around in the back seat of the car with my dad, listen to Laker games and Dodger games. And I was just struck by what Mr. Reyes said. I think part of the reason we have developed this strong attachment to Chick and to Vin and to the others over the years is because of radio. It's not because of television. We don't have that attachment to a Bob Costas or a John Madden, because when you're listening to radio, that person, that voice on that speaker, that person's just talking to you, to nobody else, and it's a personal relationship that you develop and that you continue to develop over the years. And I think as someone who grew up here listening to Laker games on the radio and who did just what Mr. Reyes did many times, would turn down that network announcer and turn up the local radio broadcast, I felt that Chick was talking to me, and I think he was. And he was talking to everybody else in Los Angeles as well.
The legend, Chick Hearn, I had an opportunity to meet him recently, Universal Studios, at a major dinner where he received an award for all the wonderful work he has done for Los Angeles. A kind man, a gentle man, a very humble man, married 60-plus years to Marge. His son passed away a few years ago. And Chick was just the common man who was so gracious, who was so warm, who was so friendly, and who never wanted to retire. Chick passed away after the Lakers' victory, looking forward to the next season, but Chick would never retire. Chick was a legend like John Ferraro. People in our lives who don't want to retire, who want to continue, who have that talent, who have that ability, and Chick carried that through all the way to the end, and that's why around the city people are honoring him. The flags are half-mast because of his passing, and I know there'll be a major memorial service for him where thousands of people will gather in remembrance of all the fond memories, of all the happiness he brought to people. He was a true legend in Los Angeles. He will be missed by Angelenos. He will be missed by the Lakers, be missed by his lovely wife, Marge, and may Chick rest in peace.
One of the phrases I like to use in speeches and debates is that the American dream is alive and well in the city of Los Angeles. And after watching some of the news coverage, both in the newspaper this morning and particularly on television yesterday, and not only learning to respect Chick for his professional accomplishments, but for his personal story as well, as someone who, like so many others, left their homes behind and moved to California, moved to Los Angeles, pursuing opportunity and certainly having achieved the level of success that he has with his family, with his wife for so many years, was really inspirational. I think one of the more touching segments I was able to watch was a good, it must have been at least 5 or 7 minutes. It was an interview of Chick and Jerry Dunphy, who we also just lost recently. 2 pros, smooth, no notes, no cue cards, nothing, just 2 old pros going at it. And it was an amazing interview talking about sports and life and history and just seamlessly weaving back and forth between the issues. Very insightful, very inspirational. But I too, along with Councilmember Zine and Perry, recently had a chance to personally meet him. And it was clear at the day of the parade, he was struggling a little bit. He had just recovered, and his, I believe it was his nurse or caretaker with him, and she was trying to keep space between he and the crowd, push people away. You know, his time's up. He needs to get his rest. But you can see it in his eye. You can see it in his eye that he valued being with the public. As tired as he might have been, as weak as he might have been, he knew the significance of his role and of talking to people and keeping that excitement, not just about him, but about the Lakers and the sport. And I think it's again, that personality, that character that elevated him head and shoulders above his peers. So in addition to the sayings and the mastery of announcing, his personality and his inspiration will be missed. All members adjourning in memory of Chick Hearn. Are there tributes? Ms. Perry.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. The first tribute is one that I think Mr. Garcetti would like to join me on. For Joel Oliansky, he was a writer and director, passed away this Monday, July 29th, after a long illness. He made significant contributions in writing and directing in the entertainment industry. His award-winning ability was matched with a passion for jazz and included a screenplay about the life of the great sax player Charlie Parker. His other award-winning works included the dramatization of the story Masada. His efforts on the law earned him an Emmy statue or Emmy nomination, the Writers Guild, an Emmy Award, Writers Guild and Humanitas Awards. His services will be held at the Catalina Jazz Club in Hollywood. He's survived by his sister, literary agent Lynn Plachette, and 2 children, Ingrid and Adam. The second one is special because this man was just well known throughout the city for his baking, and his specialty was sweet potato pies. And he was Gregory Spann. Gregory's Bakery was on 27th and Central, called the 27th Street Bakery. And he passed away last week of a heart attack. His contributions and his generosity to all of the residents throughout the city of Los Angeles will truly be missed. His service is August the 6th at 10 a.m., and it will be at Simpson's Funeral Home in Inglewood. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. Other tributes? Mr. Rudy Thomas.
Mr. President, members of the council, would you join me in adjourning in memory of Mr. Edward Landry, the brother of Herman Landry, who passed on August 1. He lived in Broussard, Louisiana, where he raised his family. He's the eldest of the children, and services will be held there on this Friday. He is survived by his brother Herman and 3 sisters, 8 adult children, 28 grandchildren, 18 great-grandchildren, and a host of nieces, nephews, and friends.
Mr. Weiss.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I'd ask that you join me in adjourning in memory of James Doolin, a well-known realist painter who focused much of his energies on painting the urban landscape. In fact, a well-known painting of his from 1991 of a freeway scene was recently reproduced on the cover of Mike Davis's well-known book, Ecology of Fear. Mr. Doolin studied at UCLA and earned his master's there and taught there until 1980 when he won a Guggenheim Foundation fellowship, and then went on to do a great deal of work in Southern California, including 4 murals for the MTA's headquarters just a few blocks from here. He's survived by his wife, a daughter, 2 sons, and a grandchild.
Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, request we adjourn in memory of Cliff Nagel. Cliff Nagel passed away at age 52 from an undisclosed illness. He was a long-time resident of the San Fernando Valley. He was survived by his mother Yvette, sister Barbara, his brother Marty, along with nephews and nieces. This is a request of our city photographer, Ron Butcher. May Cliff rest in peace. Another memory of Glenn Oliver Wiggins, passed away on August 2nd. Glenn Wiggins was born on July 5th, 1943. Glenn was appointed to the Los Angeles Police Department on October 26th, 1964, and was still on active duty. He was a motorcycle supervisor in the San Fernando Valley at Valley Traffic Division. Through his career, Glenn worked Central Division, Accident Investigation Division, 77th Street Division. He was assigned to the Metropolitan Division. He was involved in the SLA shootout. Worked Southwest Division and Central Traffic Division. One of Glenn's hobbies was fishing. He will be greatly missed by his family, friends, and colleagues at the Los Angeles Police Department. Leaves his daughter Sarah, his mother, father, and 1 sister. May Glenn rest in peace.
All members on that. Mr. Burnson.
Yes, I'd ask that we join in memory of Roy Kroll, jazz pianist who was part of the Jackie and Roy team, who many of you may have seen, if you're old enough, in Vegas and other parts. But they were an outstanding combo through the just about a half a century. He passed away, I believe he was about 85 years old.
Thank you, Mr. Burnson. Any others? Other tributes? Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Thank you all very much. This meeting is adjourned.